Hi YouTube, Jukebase here once again. Just to remind you that Mutabaruka will be here in London on the 7th of April at 262 to 274 Camberwell Road alongside Dr. Umar Johnson, Brother Edison Abanje, and it will be hosted by Leo Mohammed. For information, the hotline will be 07506 725 345.
Coming all the way from Kingston, Jamaica, I'd like to welcome the great, and we have to say great, Jamaican, that is Mutabaruka. Good afternoon to you, Muta.
Good afternoon, London, good afternoon, England.
How you doing? How was your journey?
Well, it's long, but we are here, we're used to it now, so we're always feeling good to come and speak to the people and kind of have a what you call a live continent stepping in London. Because we know that there's a lot of people here who listen us. As a matter of fact, I think that more people listen to the program in England than in Jamaica. So a lot of people now get the opportunity to see who they are listening to early in the morning here in England. And to listen live to the person who they are listening to in Jamaica, from Jamaica.
It's great, as we says always, to have you here. The last time you was here in Brixton Caribou Centre, absolute roadblock. You was there with the Florists. It was a great evening. I know you're looking forward, as always, to empowering African Caribbean peoples as you have done throughout your life wherever you go. What can the people look forward to hearing from you this Saturday, Muta?
Well, what they can look forward to is to even a word sound that will open is powerful enough to throw them into consciousness. Because we need some form of electricity, some form of lightning bolt in a lot of the minds of African people right now, given the situation and the condition that we find ourselves in, wherever we are today. The problems are the same. The solutions might not be the same, but the problems are the same. And we hope that we can stimulate something and generate some form of movement and energy in the minds of the people. Steve Biko said the greatest weapon in the hands of the oppressor is the mind of the oppressed. So what we do is try to get to the mind of the oppressed to make them know that they are being oppressed. A lot of us still believe that we are free. But if you look at the situation and surroundings that African people find themselves in, there's a lot of way to go for that total liberation and freedom.
You talk about the liberation and freedom of our peoples, and at this present time in Jamaica, as in England, I may add, especially in London at this present time, we're seeing an awful amount of violence, or what they're calling, Muta, black on black crime at this present time, state of emergency in Jamaica. What are your thoughts on the events that are unfolding not only in Jamaica, where they've called a state of emergency, but also as well in the UK, as you've just come into the UK and you can hear the furore with the amount of young people or young African people that are killing themselves in America, in Chicago, loads of young black youths seemingly killing themselves and seemingly doing the job of our oppressors at this present time. What are your thoughts, or what is your take on the current situations in regards to the state of emergency in Jamaica and what you see as you've come into England?
Well, when you take a human being or animal out of their natural habitat, they have to become adapted. And sometimes the adaptation is not necessarily conducive to their way of life, their understanding of life. What we see is happening now, that the system has become a problem to the way of life of African people. And what we are doing is internalizing that irrational behavior on ourselves. We are turning it on ourselves. And we need to understand that family is what is the beginning of the self. And if the family structure is broken, then it is going to trickle down or trickle up into the wider community. There is a breakdown of the black family. There is a breakdown of attitudes and behavior of the black family because we have adopted the logics of our masters, of our slave masters, and the system that governs us. We have adopted it. So we need now to return to that family, return to that understanding of familyhood that we knew before we came to these places. And if we can't find the family, we will move further and further into the abyss of craziness. Because right now, the family structure is not there anymore. We had some of it when we came across here from the Atlantic to the Caribbean. And then we had some of it when we came more here in England, when we started to come. But because we are so embedded into the system, we have lost it. And we have developed, it's almost like we have been metamorphosized into something else that we are not. Because there's no family again. The children are doing what they want to do, and the parents is not there to know what the children is doing. We just start that first hour and say that there's so much thing that is happening amongst the youth that the parents don't know. The parents don't know what is happening. And that is causing a lot of problems, you know. Some people I was talking to one of my brethren and he said that his son is so nice to him. And then when he hear what his son is doing out there, he's surprised because his son don't show that when he's a kid. So there's something that is not happening among the black family that should take place. What is not happening? The communication that family is supposed to have has been taken away by the cell phone, by the television, by the games, and by other people who have nothing to do with sharing intelligent conversation with them. The family has been broken up because we don't eat together, but buy fast food. There's no sitting down with family and eating. The family has been broken up because we search for things outside of our family situation. By looking at advertisements on television, what to wear, what to drink, what to eat, how to behave. We listen to music that is not conducive to our way of life. So we develop a lot of farm. We have evolved into a different creature. So we need to know, those of us who know that this is happening, we need to emphasize this more. Whether we are in the media, whether we are artists on stage, or whether we are just community leaders and development, we need to emphasize how are we going to get back the black family in focus so that we have a family structure. Because if the family is breaking, the community is going to break, the nation is going to break. In England, we are living in a nation that is not ours. We try to integrate in it, but obviously it is not working. The integration of the black family is not working in the England system. So we need to understand what were we doing before we came to these places. And I'm not talking about going back to Trinidad and Jamaica. I'm talking about before Africans came on the ship then. We had institutions, we had governance, we have spiritual guidance. We need to understand what were we doing before we get caught in all of this and reclaim that again. We have to reclaim it. Does it take back over? We have to go back and draw from and bring forward, you know. And I don't think a lot of people understand how important it is to reclaim our understanding of self to our Africanness. We try to get it through your Christianity and it's not working. That is what brought us here in the first place. We need to come out of that and reclaim ourselves as a people outside of this Euro-Christian mentality and outside of this understanding of what they gave us. That is really that is my take on that.
Well said, Muta. And how was Jamaica when you left? How was the situation in terms of, have they still got the state of emergency running out there? Because people are now asking for that.
The state of emergency seems to be working at the moment, because the place that was in the problem was, all of Jamaica was Belgium. There are any murders taking place there now.
Okay.
We don't know what will happen when the state of emergency is up. But they have extended the state of emergency. And we see that there's hardly anything happening. I was on Mobile last weekend. You know, I rather see anything happening. But there are other spots, different places in Jamaica that is problem. So we will need a state of emergency in the whole of Jamaica. You know, so when I was there, which was yesterday, day before yesterday, you know, the state of emergency is holding, but the state of emergency is a stopgap, which is not the solution to the problem. You know, there's a deeper problem, as we talk about here. We need to reclaim the family. You know, we can't depend on politicians to do that. We need to find ourselves.
Well said, Muta, well said. Your programs, Cutting Edge and Stepping Razor, some of the most popular programs for African Caribbeans, especially Jamaicans of the diaspora, that has won many awards. You also got an award from the government as well, didn't you, Muta, for your work?
Yeah, well, the OD, they call it CD, Order of Distinction, Commander Class, yeah.
Order of Distinction, Commander Class.
Yeah.
And many were very surprised that someone such as yourself was offered the award by the Jamaican government. What was your take?
Okay, hold on. It's not the government decide that, you know.
Okay.
Let me explain it to you. It's not the government decided. It's your peers decide and recommend it to the government. Because the government is the one who instigate the award for Jamaican people who have excelled. So there are people who say, all right, this artist has done so much for Jamaican music. We think that he should get it. But this person has done some great works in their community, so we think that person should get it. So it's not the government sit down and say, that person and that person. There are people in the community, your peers, like if you're a musicians come and say, this person has done a great work. If you're a community workers come and tell the government that this is one. So it's not like the government do it,
Okay.
It's a government award, but it's not decided by the government. The government only sanction it and say, yes, this is what the people said, so you should get it. That's what it was.
Okay, and you was awarded for your excellence, especially, as many people may not know, not only for your radio work, but as a dub poet. And a lot of people are saying that a lot of the disenfranchisement of the youth, or a lot of the behaviour of the youth, is linked to the music. How do you see dub poetry, especially in today's world, whereby you see a lot of, especially our young people, they're all about the hype and the materialism of the music rather than the messages and the consciousness of the music. So what's your take, finally, let's say, in regards to dub poetry, which some would say is a lost art at this here present time and has an important part to play in relaying messages for those who may not read so well? What's your take on the music and dub poetry and where it stands today in Jamaican popular culture?
All right, people say dub poetry laugh out because they're not been to Jamaica. They say when we started at Lincoln Quincy Johnson in England, you have Mr. Danko, you have Michael Smith. There are more dub poets now in Jamaica than ever before.
Wow. Didn't know that.
Yes, I am telling you that. What is that? Because of the state of the music now, producers, they don't see dub poetry as a viable commercial venture. They see the dancehall music. So the popular music in Jamaica now is dancehall music, and more youth want to gravitate towards the dancehall music because that's what it has done for the artists and what it has done for their popularity. But that don't mean that there are not other genre of music that is not existing. There's a lot of dub poetry. A lot of poetry, a dub poetry festival is coming up next 2 weeks time. We just finished one poetry in Motion, there's a poetry festival. So the poetry is alive, but it is not as commercially viable so as it to make the Billboard Top 100 or for it to penetrate England as it was in the 80s and 90s when we started out.
Okay.
You know, so it's not true to say that it is a dying thing, because I am seeing that there's more dub poets now. But as I said before, the producers is not seen as a commercially viable genre of music.
I hear you.
That even reggae. The producers now don't see reggae as a viable commercial music. That's the dancehall. So they are moving towards dancehall. And really and truly, the dancehall culture is one of the worst things that has ever happened to the movement of the liberation of African people.
Wow.
As it relates to how the consciousness come. Because when you look at a dancehall video, all we see is the things that we don't want to see. Because right now we see go-go clothes, our black women and female is actually wearing go-go clothes that you used to see in go-go clubs, on the street and in the dance, and the things that you see in the dance hall. If you go on YouTube and look at some dance hall movement and dance hall, what they're doing in the dance, it's amazing to see that a country that has given the world reggae music and the consciousness of reggae music that inspired even Winnie Mandela, Nelson Mandela, and a liberation movement all over the world. This is what it has become. It has become a decadent, materialistic art form that is not generating any form of consciousness in the minds and the attitudes of the young people. And we keep spread all over the place, even in England come here. So most people now, they're moving away from the reggae and they're going to the dancehall, and they're not filtering what they're playing. And I have a problem with the media for that. The media, the people in the media, they're not filtering what they are hearing coming out of Jamaica. It is popular in Jamaica, they want to make it popular in England. They want to make it popular into Brooklyn and Bronx. So that is what. Yes, most of the white youth, them, it's still playing the reggae. If you go to the festivals in America and the festivals in Europe, reggae is what is the predominant music coming out of Jamaica still. So when consciousness move away from Jamaica, the decadence take over. And that is what is really making the youth them. It's part of the problem that the youth them confront now, that they don't know is a problem. Because it becomes so normal now for young people to be in this way. It's a normal thing.
Yeah.
You know, so we have a problem with it. We have a problem with it to the core, because we know what consciousness is. We know what Marcus Garvey stands for. We know what Paul Wall stands for. We know what Cathy stands for. And we know what all the people them who come before us stand for, to see it drifting in the other opposite direction now. It's really not positive, you know.
Soul destroying. Muta, I could sit down and speak with you for at least an hour, but time's upon us. Thank you so much for taking time out. I know you're tired, and look forward to hearing you tomorrow, Stepping Razor, and taking in.
I hope everybody will be there, because, you know, I must give thanks to the sister Emma who conceived such an idea to bring the word to the people rather than the music. Yeah. I'm not against the music, because I am also an artist, but sometimes the people have to listen rather than dance. We've been dancing so much meanwhile. Our house is burning down, you know, we need to listen, think. And that is what the show is all about, to make you think and wake your conscience and wake your consciousness. So all the people will turn up.
Thank you very much, Muta, for taking time out to join us. Like I said, look forward to seeing you tomorrow, King Man. Alright?
Yeah,
alright. Respect. There you go, the great Muta Baruka. Will try and have Umar Johnson. Hopefully Umar will remember us enough and know that I'm not a hostile person at all. I've got to take a break quickly. Back on the other side, hopefully we can have Dr. Umar Johnson. That was the great Stepping Razor Mutabaruka tomorrow over there in South London. Look forward to hearing the Kings of Empowerment.